Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Grace. I'm going to give you a little introduction because that's what this hashtag warrants, which makes sense. My name is Grace. I'm Mary Grace Fahrun. I'm the author of Italian Folk Magic, Rue's Kitchen Witchery. My book was published in 2018. However, I'm also known as Rue of Rue's Kitchen. My website has been, that domain has been around since 2000. But I personally, when it comes to the internet, am as old as dirt. I am 55 years old. And I have been talking about Italian folk magic primarily on the internet since 1998. I have a Facebook group, Rue's Kitchen Facebook group, that's been around quite a long time. I did mention my website, and recently, and I say recently because compared to that history, I only started posting content on YouTube in 2019, and it was basically because I was looking for community regarding tarot. I love tarot. I love everything divination. I have been reading cards since I'm 6 years old because in my culture it was just normal to read cards. Okay, I think I covered who I am. So let me begin with the hashtag occult tea. Topic 1 is impact on community. So I'm going to read through the questions because I think that that's a better way for me because I'll end up going on a tangent and that's not helpful. What is my personal reasoning, inspiration behind sharing my practice online? So for me, like many others that post their practice online, okay, maybe I can't generalize. For me, primarily, it was to combat misinformation on Italian witchcraft way back when in 1998. See, the concerns that have arisen and the impetus for this hashtag is also as old as the internet. And I'm hoping that by sharing what I have to say, it may help some of you that are watching, that are experiencing these things. I was the most vocal. We were a group of people who there was a forum called Stregoneria Italiana. And it was founded by a founder. And we were a group of people, Italian Americans, that actively debunked the misinformation being spread on the internet about our folk practices, our culture. Sound familiar? Okay, so let me take it from there. So in 1998, I had a page, like one page, one web page. And by 2000, I had my domain, rueskitchen.com. I'm also known as Rue of Rue's Kitchen. I don't know if I mentioned that. I've re-recorded this a few times. It's a little messy in my memory. And that website was and still is dedicated to the preservation of Italian folk practices. So basically, that's my impetus. That's my raison d'être to be on the internet has been to communicate and share Italian folk practices, primarily of southern Italy, but also other regions as well. And I've been on the internet a very, very long time. I don't know if I mentioned in this video because this is like recorded a couple of times. In internet years, I'm old as dirt. And I'm probably one of the older people that are going to be responding to this hashtag. I hope not. I hope other elders in our community speak up, because this would be wonderful, really wonderful. All right. What am I looking to achieve by participating, and do I seek to educate, learn, or connect? Primarily, it was to preserve information and to clarify. So that was the primary reason. The secondary is to connect with other Italian Americans and Italians in the diaspora who practiced the folk traditions of their immigrant parents and grandparents and all that stuff. How do I believe social media as a whole has impacted the community? So we call it social media today, and that's granted, right? How has it impacted? It's been wonderful. I have been able in the last, I'm trying to do math, I'm sorry. Like in the past 24 years, 27 years. Sorry, people, math is not my forte. Unless it's medication calculations. But anyway, I have connected with so many people that I otherwise would not be able to connect with. Primarily because I left my neighborhood of origin in 1998. So you see, like it coincides with that. I was looking for community, and I found community, and I have internet friends, and I consider them family because of the internet and what today we call social media. So I think it's the impact for me has been that I've been able to connect with other people, other practitioners, and like not just Italian folk magic. I mean like other magical practitioners, other occultists, other witches that have become lifelong friends, even if I haven't met them in person. And it's also been an excellent medium to keep our practices alive. Because, you know, by us sharing what we do and sharing our culture and sharing all this, it's like, you know, a lot of, for instance, my parents are gone. My parents are gone. It's a long time that my parents are gone. And it's myself and my peers have kept a lot of traditions alive for later generations. How do I think social platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have each impacted education/sharing of information? I'm going to start by saying that I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, and I barely tolerate Instagram. But that's, for those of you who watch me regularly, you know that's not new. But YouTube is incredible. YouTube, I get to have coffee with someone I really, whose company I enjoy by watching their YouTube videos. And if someone would have told me in the 80s, when I was first exploring witchcraft, that there would, you know, later, like, you know, not even 10 years later, I would be able to connect with people around the world, I wouldn't have believed you, and I would have thought that was witchcraft. Now, I'm going to stay on this side of the argument for the time being. In consuming witchcraft content, becoming a substitute consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for practice. So this too is old as the internet, okay? It's reading about it is all even older than the internet. Reading about witchcraft, is that a substitute for actual practice? No, you're just reading and you're just information gathering. Is watching other people's content a substitute for witchcraft? I think to some people it is. I think that in the early days, especially for if I talk about, the forum environment and the Facebook group environment, let's go back into the Stone Ages, okay? For a lot of people, it is. And I always think of the other side, right? So when I was younger, okay, people, I was like, I was horrible. When I was younger on the internet, I was really scrappy, and I came out guns blazing about cultural violence and all this stuff, and I was really judgmental of people that were novice nurses. Sorry, people. It's interrelated. I was very judgmental of people that were new to witchcraft who would show up, let's say in a Facebook group or on a forum, and just gimme, just tell me what I need to know so I could start practicing. They had no intention to read, research, learn, get their hands dirty. They just wanted us to give them what we worked really hard to achieve in terms of knowledge. Now that I'm older, much, much older, I do see the other side too. For a lot of people who live in an environment where they cannot practice their craft outwardly. For people who need to hide, to consume anything witchy, where they have to, where all their witchcraft is, or any other niche, right, is relegated to stolen moments on their cell phone. What I'm trying to say is that I'm a little, with age and experience, I'm learning that for some people that is all they can do. For some people it's meaningful. So who am I to judge? It's meaningful because they cannot practice. They live in an environment where bad shit can happen to them if they did have an outer expression of their inner spirituality. So, do I believe that consuming witchcraft content is becoming a substitute for practice? For some people, there's the laziness factor, right? There's also people who think that if they read a bunch of witchcraft books that they're practicing witchcraft. You know what I mean? Like it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Does it affect me? No, but if you're out there and all you're doing is consuming TikTok, witch talk and Instagram and reels and, in bite-sized chunks or whatever, you're never going to develop the attention span to actually explore deeper and develop a deeper connection to your craft or a craft at all, right? But again, going back to the people who do not have freedom, it does serve a purpose. As much as, I back away from it, and as much as it's not for me, but it's not for me. I've been practicing, again, like forever almost, but in internet years, I'm prehistoric, right? Oh my God. Topic number 2. Influencer authenticity. Out of what I share on social media, how much of it is staged versus reality? Okay, so I'll begin by saying I don't share much of my personal practice on the internet. Like I'm not casting spells, and I'm not doing like video montages of spells. You guys you see what you get here. Cinema verite, I just turn on the camera and I start talking. So in terms of social media, how much of it is staged versus reality? It's still staged. It's still staged, what I do. Okay? It is still, to a degree, take for instance the background here. 5 minutes before my camera starts rolling, I clear my desk. It's like I tidy up a little bit. On Instagram, when I post something on Instagram, sometimes I post an altar scene or I'll post a ritual, but it's not my ritual. It's representative of a ritual that I would perform. Again, I don't share much, but what I do share, the second you pull out the camera, other people have, I'm pretty sure other people have said this. The second you pull out a camera, you're no longer in the moment of your ritual. You're in the moment of creating an atmosphere, creating, even me with my like half-assed, setup, or with my very candid shots that I post on Instagram, even that is a little staged. It's to make it interesting. It's to capture a mood, right? But me, I'm pretty much who I am in real life when I'm speaking on camera here. Other than if you were to meet me in person, I'm a little more soft-spoken, believe it or not. Sorry, it's the lighting here. It's what it is. And I'm not going to adjust it because I'll just make it worse. Okay. Do you think there's an element of censorship in online spaces? Well, yeah, there's of course there's the platforms that you're posting on. If you're a content creator, that have their terms of services, their terms of service and all that, and all that. But also it's self-preservation and keeping yourself safe on the internet. There has to be some censorship. Also, if you want to appeal to a wider audience, you don't want to be talking about things that could be quite personal. You don't want to be talking about... Look, witchcraft is not for the faint of heart. It's not. And it's not just crystals and burning colorful candles and stuff like that. There's more to witchcraft. And most of it is not for the general public consumption. So yes, there is definitely an element of censorship in online spaces. I hope I answered that question. How do I decipher what is appropriate to share online versus what to keep privately? Okay, so I'm a healthcare professional and also an educator. And in communication, I taught communication for many years, is one of the subjects that I taught. And how many times do I have to repeat myself? I'm sorry, people. Let me start over. Yes. Yes, you have to be able to discern what is appropriate self-disclosure. This is the internet, okay? And the internet is not a safe place. If you're posting content online, anybody could see it. Your boss can see it, your grandma can see it, people who will judge you negatively, and it can affect your life negatively, will have access to what you're putting out online. So you have, it's really important, I feel, to exercise appropriate self-disclosure. And, some things are not meant for the public. if you wouldn't go door to door telling people, look at it this way. If there is something you want to share, if it is not something that you would ring on random doorbells in some neighborhood and tell every person who answered the door, then it's not appropriate for it to be on the internet. We have to keep some things to ourselves. And again, it goes back to personal safety, and it also goes back to, like, other kinds of backlash that can affect your life, like your career, your family. It's story time. Up until 2008, I was Rue of Rue's Kitchen. And put it this way, for 10 years I was pretty effective at putting out the message of misinformation about my culture and the practices and all this stuff, to the point that I was doxxed. But I wasn't just doxxed people. The website doesn't exist anymore, and people involved are dead. But yeah, that's how long I've been on the internet, that people are dead. But they not only doxed me, my maiden name, my full name, Mary Grace, my maiden name, my married name, where I lived, was posted on a witchcraft website. I'm a healthcare professional. I live in a small town in British Columbia, Canada. And my employer was a religious charity. My children were in grade school. It was the peak of the new thing was to Google people. So it negatively affected my professional career. I was worried for my children's safety. So yeah, and it wasn't even me. I was doxxed. So that is also a danger. So, as much as we want to be authentic and represent truly what we practice, think about me. That's why you see my real name. That's my, Mary Grace Fahrun is not a pen name. That is my real name. Because I was doxxed. Otherwise, I probably would still be Rue. Okay, there's my story. How do I decipher what is what to keep privately? Well, you keep your name privately. You keep most of your practice privately, especially if it's something that you wouldn't share with a complete stranger in line at the supermarket. That's because of my experience, right? Everyone does what they feel is appropriate for them. And is this based on social media etiquette or personal preference? It's my personal preference. Have I ever encountered or heard of grifters in our community? Okay, I got to go back to the other one about appropriate and like being doxxed and all that. Nowadays, it's 14 years later, and being doxxed in 2010, I think it was in 2008. Doesn't affect me daily today as much as it did earlier on, but it did at the time, and it did for many, many years afterwards. So, cautionary tale, folks. Have I ever encountered or heard of grifters in our community? Okay, so grifters. I'm going to echo Thorn Mooney in this one, who I adore. I remember when she was knee-high to a toad on the forums, fora. Nowadays, it's used as a disparaging. Now it's used as something we say about witches we don't like. But I'm going to go back to grifters in our community. Is also as old as time immemorial. There's always, everyone has a story of, okay, not everyone, I don't know if everyone has a story of this, but let me talk about where I come from. Where I come from, it was very common in the Italian American community, Italian Canadian community, for there to be people, psychics, fortune tellers, where people would go to have their cards read, and then they were told that they had a curse. And this same reader who found this, who read that there's a curse on this person, could remove the curse for $2,000. And, the $2,000 was to buy these special candles from Jerusalem and yada, yada, yada. So grifters en masse, okay? That is, sadly, when it comes to card readers and witches and all that stuff, the mainstream notion of people like us is that we're grifters, okay? That's the mainstream notion of us, those of us who practice these things. But for good reason. There are these people, and they existed before the internet. So of course it stands to reason that they would exist now on the internet. How do you stay safe? Well, first of all, if somebody's asking you for money, here's my rule of thumb. Anyone who asks you for money is trying to rip you off. I have never, ever, in the decades I have been practicing, if I saw someone was afflicted by the evil eye or had a curse on them, which is very rare, I want to add. Evil eye is very common. Curses are very rare. Like flat out curses where someone has done magic on someone and to harm them. But it's not non-existent. Never, ever have I charged to remove or to help this person. Never. Never. I'm going to go into a little side tangent. I'm sorry, I have to. Why I don't charge, and this is my personal belief, is if I charge someone money to remove that curse, they just paid me to take it from them, and now I'm saddled with it. Do you see the occult implication there? Also, the thing about grifters. Again, how can you tell if you're approaching someone who is a grifter? If you're approaching someone in our, to use the term loosely, community, to help you, and you see that publicly their life is a fucking dumpster fire, how is this person the right person to help you when they cannot even help themselves? Do I recognize them? What are significant signs of grifters in the community? They act as though they're the gatekeepers. They're the holders of the secret knowledge. Okay? Anyone who's a holder of secret knowledge, anyone who charges you money for their help, anyone who approaches you, oh my God, like this, I know, it bears repeating though, because, people are vulnerable, okay? These people approach you when you're in a vulnerable state. So usually the scenario goes like this. Someone will post in a group or something, or a Discord or whatever, that they're going through a really hard time. And then one of the members who's infiltrated this group, because that's what it's kind of like, right? One of the people will DM them and say, hey, I can help you, and it's going to cost you this much money. That's a grifter. That's how you could see right away. But there's a flip side to this that I want to talk about. And again, I apologize for the lighting, but like I said, if I touch it, it's going to fuck it up more. But there's a flip side to this. And that is, in my experience, again, over decades, I've had people who have asked me for help. And because I did not charge them money, went with the person who charged them, let's say, $1,000 to help them with their spiritual problem, to put it in plain language, over me, because I can't possibly know how to help them because I didn't charge them money. So there needs to be a re-education of the public, honestly, that I still haven't seen occur in all the years I've been on the internet. So that's the flip side of it right there, is that you can't help some people. You can't help some people. You could try, but you can't help them. Okay, do I try to fix this lighting? Do I dare? Yikes. Okay, that's probably a bit better. Sorry, guys. It's winter, and you could see like outside is kind of weird, and anyway. What tools are helpful to decipher misinformation, and how can we as a community prevent widespread misinformation? Well, the onus is on the person seeking the information to check sources. But I still haven't figured out how we can prevent misinformation. All I could say is that if you're someone out there who is providing sound information, please don't stop. Please don't stop. And if you know someone who provides sound information, please continue sharing. And if you are someone looking for sound information, ask people you trust if they know where you can find sound information. Again, the onus is on the seeker, not the people, not people like me that are providing information. I'm not here to police what other people are saying on the internet. But please, caveat emptor. You know what I mean? Like, buyer beware. How does a large following impact the perception of the creator? Well, that, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to say the same thing. There's someone who has like hundreds of thousands of followers. Their number, it's human nature. Even I will look at that number and go, holy shit. That person must really know what they're doing, must really know what they're talking about to have that many followers. But there's more to it than that. Okay, it was brought to my attention by someone in the know that you can actually buy subscribers for YouTube. You can actually buy that. There's a market for everything, people. There's a market for everything. Now, I'm not saying, please, before you all come after me with pitchforks and torches and stuff like that. I'm not saying that the people who have like tons of followers bought their subscribers. But if somebody has like 150,000 subscribers, let's say on YouTube, and their videos get only like 200 views per, I have to question the math. But yes, at the end of the day, it's human nature that if we see someone with tons of followers, then they must be better, smarter, more knowledgeable. But that's wiser. That's often not the case though. Me personally, when I'm looking for content, I'm literally digging for small channels. When it comes to YouTube, I'm looking for the small channels because, and this ties into the whole subscriber count, because I've witnessed where people start out with like 50 subscribers and their content is pure gold, and they'll put out a video that suddenly pops and they got thousands of views, and their human nature kicks in, and now they switch over to just doing that kind of content because it gets all the views. So I try to find people when they're still expressing who they truly are and what they're truly passionate about before the algorithm demons get to them. Does this immediately make them an expert? I already answered that, right? It doesn't immediately make somebody an expert by the number of followers they have. But by the same token, there are people that are experts that have tons of followers. But then there's also people that are freaking like, brilliant and experts in whatever niche or field who have tons of followers, and because of a lot of it has to do with whether they're charismatic, whether they're good speakers, whether they communicate their content in a manner that is easily communicated. That's not me, sorry guys. People that are articulate and can make very complex things accessible. So it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Again, I apologize for the lighting here, people, but I'm just going to keep going. You know what? You don't even need to be looking at me. You can go and do something and just listen, if you want to still listen. How does one maintain the balance of authenticity and content creation? I feel like authenticity and content creation is a bit of an oxymoron. See, because content creation is a creative endeavor. And you can create content that is authentic to you. But at the end of the day, if you're wanting to break big with your YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever, you gotta be putting in the effort when it comes to visuals and all the editing and all that stuff. You don't do like me, is what I'm trying to say. You don't do like me. C'est ma vérité. So how do you maintain? You know what, honestly, how does one maintain? Well, if you're a content creator, you're a creative person. I'm gathering. Okay, I'll go with the caveat that you're a creative person. And the content how do you maintain authenticity? Create the content that you yourself would want to watch or would want to consume. Topic 3, imposter syndrome and FOMO. Okay, so when I follow other creators in the community space, does it make me feel genuinely inspired, empowered, or does it create feelings of FOMO and being less than? Okay, so this imposter syndrome is a term I only learned a couple of years ago from the internet. I don't suffer from imposter syndrome at all. At all. I am still the same person I was when I came onto the internet. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not, and therefore I'm not I don't feel like I'm something I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Now, FOMO. Okay, right now you're watching this video. Look at this shit show of lighting. Okay. Do I feel FOMO for people who get this right? Well, no. Which is FOMO's fear of missing out. Do I feel like I'm missing out because my video production is less than? No, no. Because my focus when I come on here is what I have to say, what I have to share. I want to just chit chat and hang out, virtually hang out with you guys, and and read your comments in the comment section, and that's what I get out of this. So I don't have imposter syndrome. And when it comes to FOMO, I had my brush with FOMO when I first started watching tarot YouTube. For those of you who are tuning in because you don't know who I am and you're watching this because of the hashtag, I started watching tarot YouTube in 2017, and after I had been reading tarot since 1986, I had gone to YouTube to look up a replacement for my ratty tarot deck that I wanted to get a brand new one, because it was like 20 something years old and was like it's really worn, and it had decades of nicotine and pizza grease on it and all that stuff. And I came across people who I felt were experts in tarot. I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to start watching tarot YouTube because I just read cards. I need to learn the meaning of the tarot cards. So there's my entry into FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of that, and you know what? Maybe it's a little also a bit of imposter syndrome. So I take it back. Maybe there was a little bit of imposter syndrome in that as well. Well, I start watching tarot YouTube, and people who speaking with authority to the camera, to me, and the audience, right? How you need different decks. I'm a professional tarot reader, so I have 100 different tarot decks. And I was thinking, Mingya, I only use one. So, you see, I too fell into that trap. I fell into the trap that I needed tons of different tarot decks to be a real tarot reader. I fell into the, which is going to come later, the acquiring of decks and all that. So, and when I fell into it, well, there's it was the circumstances like a lot of people. So an example would be the need to purchase the latest popular product or book to fit in. No, for me it was I've been reading tarot for a very long time, and I need to get all these different decks because real tarot readers have tons of different tarot decks, which then it's like everything just shattered when I realized that a lot of the content I was consuming from supposed experts turned out they were just either tarot collectors or people with shopping addictions, like any other niche. So in what ways do I combat imposter syndrome? Well, I already answered that. You know what I mean? It's like you have to give your head a shake. I gave my head a shake and realized that no, I've been reading cards since I'm 6 years old, and I never needed to have hundreds of different decks to read for people, and I end up using the same one all the time anyway. So the imposter syndrome didn't last too long. It's the FOMO that persisted a little bit, and a lot of that had to do with stress and using that, just using deck acquisition and watching and consuming that kind of content, unboxings and all that, to numb instead of sit with bad feelings. What would my practice look like without social media influence or other creators? So my practice was already well established before I started seeing other people's. And I think what I'm going to share is probably not what everyone else would. Well, maybe I'll see. Maybe other people feel the same way. So it's not so much practice, because my practice has always been what it is, and it's very personal, and it's not. I don't really care what other people are doing, because what I'm doing is so specific to my culture that and so rooted in family history, and it's traditions and all this stuff that's been passed down from my parents and my grandparents and my community and all that stuff. But I will say this, as someone who did spend some time in the 90s exploring Wicca, and and trying to see if maybe I fit in there better, if I fit in there better. Sorry, English. Not, for whatever reason, not my forte today. Okay, mostly, at least once in every video I fuck up the language. The constant barrage of witch aesthetic on Instagram, and I don't spend a lot of time there, people. It's like, for me, it's just too much. But when I began seeing the same cauldron, let's say, the same cast iron cauldron with the pentacle on the front in everybody's Instagram posts, when I started seeing all that stuff that's mass produced and marketed to us in everyone's Instagram posts, it made me hate my own stuff. Because now my cauldron was no longer a cauldron I've had since 1995. Now all I could think of is that every time I pick up my phone, I see it in someone else's house. So this is how it affected not my practice, but it affected my personal aesthetic. I got rid of everything. I got rid of everything that I was seeing online that was mass produced or whatever, and I went in a completely different direction. I got rid of all the overtly witchy stuff, even though I've had the same incense burner and the cauldron and all the thingies from the days of Mélange Magique in Montreal. I got rid of them because I was completely turned off. When my sacred space started to look like a metaphysical store or somebody else's Instagram post, it just took me out of my own. My space was no longer sacred. So I got rid of all that stuff and started from scratch. How would my practice look if it wasn't for social media? The same, because my practice was already established. How would my aesthetic look if it wasn't? It would probably be the same. I'd still have all my little knickknacks and witchy shit from the 90s. Capitalizing off community. Do I consider online communities as equally valid to in-person communities? I think I established that at the start of this video. If it wasn't for online communities, I wouldn't have one, because where I live, I am on the opposite side of the country of where I grew up. And I don't have any in-person, I don't have any IRL friends here that are interested, or like who have a practice, who have magical practice or witchcraft practice or whatever. So I consider online communities equally valid, if not even more valid, because I have close friends through my online community that are like family to me. How have online occult witchcraft communities impacted me as a person and practitioner? I just told you. You know what I forgot to mention, which is good for this question, is the cross-pollination. My community, my online community of occultists, metaphysicians, fortune tellers, witches, whatever, what have you, are from all different cultures. Not just my culture, mostly from other cultures. And it's such, it's an amazing time we live in. And what I'm wanting to do with my video is to talk about what's great. And what's great is that the cross-pollination that I was experiencing in my old neighborhood before I left, because my parents, I'm the daughter of Italian immigrants. My neighbors were from Haiti, from Cuba. And we would share our folk practices. So the internet community has replaced that for me. And for me, I love you all. You know who you are. I love you all, and I'm grateful for all of you. What are my community needs? My community needs are what are my community needs? My community needs is the cross-pollination. I do enjoy that the most. Sharing of information, sharing of experiences. Where would I like to be held and supported? I am grateful and I am fortunate to say that I do feel held and supported by my small community, and I hope that the members of my small community feel the same way about me. I hope they feel held and supported. Instead of me answering what I need, I'd like to answer what I hope I provide. I hope I provide a safe place, or I hope those of you who are younger and in your prime, or those of you who are new, I hope you always feel welcome to approach me, because I've been very fortunate to have had mentors that were seasoned practitioners. I don't believe in the whole teachers and all that stuff. Sorry guys, I've been talking a long time. But I do believe in mentorship, and I do believe in providing support. Where do I feel like I'm not truly being seen by my community? Okay. If I talk about the community at large, occultists, witches, and all this stuff, let's be honest. I am, again, must I repeat it, old as dirt in internet years. And I am not the median age group by far. I'm now out in the weeds with, I'm out in the weeds. I'm more of an elder. Okay, I'm not maybe an elder yet, but I'm a crone. I'm still pretty active in terms of, content creating but I'm tired. And I wish that, okay, what would I like? I would like to see more content creators of my generation and older. That's what I want. I feel that our elders are going to move on to the next world, and they're going to take so much knowledge and so much experience with them that I just makes me feel poorer at the thought of it. So if you're out there and you are a seasoned practitioner, and you've even toyed with the idea of sharing your thoughts online, please do. We all need you. And as much as we have books, I'm an author, come on, you know what I mean? And as much as we have books out there, this is still an oral tradition, and it doesn't matter if you don't practice exactly what I practice. The philosophies and the spiritual truths and us sharing our experiences, that's universal. How can we as a community come together more with constructive criticism without seeming shady or passive aggressive? Okay, so this goes back to this has been my, look, I came on the scene criticizing, and I wasn't passive aggressive. I aggressively defended my culture and my practices and all that stuff. In hindsight, if I were to time travel to my younger self, I would say, what the fuck are you doing? Instead of putting all that energy into being pissed off about misinformation, start sooner. Start if you want to make sure that your practice, your culture lives on, share it. Don't waste your time pointing fingers at someone who you think is giving bad information. You know what? Shut the fuck up and get online and put out that information. I would have done it sooner. I would have told myself, do it sooner. And that's what we could do. Because you know what? There's no point. It's like, first of all, it's freaking rude. You know what I mean? If you're watching somebody's video and you think that their content is full of shit or that they don't know what they're talking about, why are you watching their video? And holy shit, why are you posting a comment saying you disagree with them because you think they're full of shit? It's one thing to constructively disagree when it's an appropriate conversation for that. But if you're just hopping from channel to channel and you're just being shady in the comments, I'll give an example. Look at my channel. Okay, the banner, it's got the Saint Anne, and it's got the whole setup for Malocchio removal and all that. I talk about saints, I talk about the Black Madonna, I talk about Italian folk magic, which does have, and most folk magic does have, that Catholic element or a Christian element. But people watch my videos who need to tell me I'm going to hell because I'm a bad Catholic. So my reply is always standard to those kind of comments. I don't delete them because they entertain me. If you're such a fucking devout Catholic, what the fuck are you doing watching a witchcraft video? So the same, I want to say the same about, you know, how can we as a community come together more with constructive criticism? I think I would, now that I'm older, I wouldn't take the tact of constructive criticism. It would be more of, well, just sharing, just share the correct information when it's, you know, and correct information is based on what is quantifiable. Everything else is just our opinion, right? And everybody is entitled to an opinion. What we can figure out, I don't even know if there's an answer to this, right? But, you know, what we can do in an ideal world, if we could come together as a community and be able to arm people to know that when you don't do your own research, you're pretty much opening yourself up for someone else to feed you theirs, right or wrong. So by gaining your own knowledge, you are already arm yourself. And we as a community should not, you know what, I really do not want to be policing what other people are doing. Because I really don't give a flying fuck what other people are doing. And I am not going to police other content creators. I'm not going to police other people. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like, especially in spirituality, because, you know, there's here, like, you know, witchcraft intersects with spirituality. There's no freaking database for us to say, oh, you know, you've gone off script. I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is that it's wasted energy trying to police it. Just, if you're watching this and you're putting out information that you didn't verify, if you're making shit up, you know, it's sad. It's just freaking sad. And if you're someone who's out there and you're seeking, if you're a seeker, you got to put in the work, or else you will allow people to just feed you whatever shit they say, including myself. How can we as a community do better when we do receive criticism and feedback? Well, as a community, I don't know. As an individual, so let's go back to the whole feedback and criticism thing. As an individual, I would never in 100 years approach another content creator and tell them, yeah, you know, I got to give you some feedback on your content. I don't think it's accurate. That's really rude. And who am I? But if suppose I've been talking about something for years, and then I learn that information is incorrect, I'm the first one who will come on and say, hey, okay, so you know that thing I've been talking about for 10 years? Well, I just, you know, in light of some new information that has come to my attention, or in light of some experiences I've had, I'd like to say that I've changed my mind. I think as individuals, we have to be open to changing our minds. When we know better, we do better. And that really is, the accountability is on us personally. I am not accountable for what other people are doing, and I am not the witch content police. But I am accountable for what I say, and I am accountable to When I know better, do better. And I will always come back and say, so you know that thing that I've been saying for 10 years? Well, I discovered that I was wrong. That's where we start as a community. Who are some community members that I look up to that are reliable resources and inspiration? Inspirational. It says aspirations, but I think it was meant to be resources and inspirational. Community members I look up to are the ones that, again, are accountable. The ones that will come on and say, hey, remember that thing I said? I changed my mind. The people that I think are like, the community members, I'm not going to because I didn't prep a list, right? But honestly, community members that I look up to are the ones that are out there and not only sharing, are out there constantly learning, constantly interacting, willing to grow. Like you could tell them, you can tell who these people are. They are constantly growing. They're the ones that, are not repeating the same 3 sentences or whatever, or towing the same party line for 10 years or whatever online. They're the ones that grow. They're the ones that are in touch with what's going on with their community. They're the ones that are willing to have an open discourse. They're the ones. These are the people, not the freaking real machines or TikTok, witch talk video machines. Not even video. I can't even call that a video, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's like those people that put out content in bite-sized chunks and stuff like that. That's good for making you feel inspired. That's what it should do. It should make you feel inspired to go and do your own thing. But they're not a reliable resource because there's no way in a reel or whatever you could put all the content and the resources where it came from and all that stuff. It's supposed to be inspiring. It's like a commercial. It's like a commercial. It's like, you see this thing and it's visually beautiful and it says, and ask your local witch instead of ask your doctor. Any further thoughts, comments, prompt questions of my own or whatever, express further points and offer solutions. I think I'm going to just conclude this with saying that it doesn't matter the niche. There's always drama. There's always going to be drama. And the only way, you have to decide, the only way that we can mitigate it, there's no solution to this. This is as old as time, even before the internet. But the best way, if you want to feel like you're making a difference, then start with yourself. If you are a content creator, think about the stuff you're putting out there and make the content you would want to consume. If you're out there and you are a practitioner, you're looking for inspiration, you got to shop around a little bit. You got to shop around a little bit and find people that inspire you. But what I have found really helpful for myself is to find a variety of people that inspire me. And they're not all in the witchcraft community or the occult community. You know what I mean? Find the people that inspire you. It's an incredible age we live in, that we could just pick up our phone, our laptop, our tablet, and tune in to someone and do a search for something that we want to watch and have it pop up on the screen for us. That's incredible. If you're out there, if you're watching my video and you're brand new and you say, I don't know where to start, read all the books you can get your hands on. Read. No, really, people, read. Read. And yeah, you know, there's tons of beginner witchcraft books out there. Tons. Choose a cover you like. Ask your friends. Like, how did you even hear about witchcraft? Why don't you ask where you heard about it? The person you heard about it from? Or ask. Where can I find information? In all the years I've been on the internet, people have asked me, where can I find more information on whatever it is that they're interested in? And to the best of my ability, I will direct them to more information, or I will direct them to someone who I think would have resources, would have knowledge of resources that this person can use, right? Would be helpful. Practice discernment. You know, we're human, and we have instinct. If your gut feeling is telling you that something's not right with someone, trust your gut feeling, not the brainwashing. Trust your gut feeling. If you're one of those people and you're seeking a tarot reader, you want a reading, or you want someone to do magical work for you, my advice to you is no for the magical work. The reader, ask friends, see who they went to. Get recommendations. But when it comes to magical work, don't go paying somebody else to do magical work for you. And I know people who do magical work for a living are going to be freaking pissed off at me. My words are up. But I'm giving advice to you who's thinking, oh, I would really like someone to cast a spell for me. Why would you give someone else that power? Why? That's the worst thing you could do, is give someone else your power and pay a lot of money for it. Don't give your power away like that. Learn how to do it yourself. DIY, baby. DIY. Same thing. You know what? A lot of people, there's this belief that you have to go to someone else for a tarot reading. That, we can't be objective. Yeah, but you know what? We know who we are, and we know the situation that we are taking to the cards. Learn to read for yourself, or ask someone you trust. But remember that when it comes to spirituality and magical practices and these things that you're not yet an expert at, or you're not yet knowledgeable at, you are vulnerable to being taken advantage of. And that, there's no sugarcoating that. There's absolutely no sugarcoating that. So, knowledge is power. Knowledge is protection. So, go out there and acquire your own knowledge and find your tribe. That's it for me. I think I've spoken enough. Please, in the comments down below, if there's anything I've missed or there was some, whatever, please share it, because I would like those of you who don't have channels, but if you have a podcast, please, I would love it if you'd participate as well. I would love to hear what you have to say, but let me know that you're doing it in the comments below. If you have a blog, if you have, or an Instagram or whatever, if you are someone who has none of those things, but you have something burning that you want to share, you are welcome to type it down below, okay? Because community starts by treating each other better. We don't have to all agree, but we have to all agree to treat each other better. Okay? All right. Thus endeth. I hope I didn't sound like I was lecturing. I don't mean it that way, but man, I'm a veteran of this shit. And I still, to be honest, as much as this hashtag was designed to shed light on the shady aspects, to me, it shone the light on what's beautiful. And the three people who came together to put this together, to compile this hashtag, that's beautiful. All right. Wherever you are in the world, I'm wishing you a beautiful day.